Hours after the initial tsunami warning, the first wave of tsunami has hit the northern coast of central Japan. Waves are at least over 1 meter in height. In fact, emergency operations are already in place. And earlier, this of course comes after a succession of 21 earthquakes all over 4.0 magnitude or stronger struck central Japan in a span of just 90 minutes. The earthquake has in fact led to power outage in over 30,000 households, and the extent of the damage is still known. The numbers are trickling in, the various tallies are trickling in, and we're still trying to understand how big a damage this has caused in the country of Japan. Of course, however, the two main electric power companies have said that no abnormalities have been reported as of now. This is, of course, in connection to the nuclear power plants, which have also faced some sort of a damage. How much is it? How much of a damage have the nuclear power plants faced? We don't really have the data on that as of now. The Nuclear Regulation Authority is also monitoring the situation. In fact, Japan's meteorological agency has also predicted that areas within 300 kilometers of the quake's epicenter were at a risk of tsunami waves as high as 5 meters. Meanwhile, Japan's Prime Minister has also set up countermeasures office and has instructed agencies to work together as a government to respond to disasters, putting human lives first. In fact, the priority is also to ensure that accurate information is given out to the public regarding the tsunamis and also the evacuations. Right, so these are the visuals there on your screens of the earthquake striking Japan. 21 earthquakes from what we understand at this point in time in span of 90 minutes, all striking Japan one after the other. The highest of them was 7.5 magnitude. In fact, this is the one that has caused the most damage, following which there were also aftershocks. The first aftershock was 6.2 magnitude, which also struck at the depth of 10 kilometers at 4:18 p.m. This was just around 18 to 20 minutes after the main earthquake. In fact, Rishabh joins us on the phone line to get us more information on this. Rishabh, as the numbers trickle in, the latest that we have is that these were series of earthquakes, 21 earthquakes striking Japan in just 90 minutes. Give us a sense of the damage that it has caused and also how Japan is dealing with the situation at this point.
Well, definitely, 20 odd earthquakes within a span of 70 to 90 minutes. For 4:09 p.m. 4 p.m. was the first earthquake that was reported, and the biggest coming in at around 5.518, and that is something that was around 7.5 on Richter scale, and this has created a panic among the people there. Remember, no one has forgotten 2011 earthquake and tsunami that led to the Fukushima nuclear plant getting destroyed, and the burnt is still being burned by Japan till date. Apart from that, if we can talk about the situation right now, evacuations have begun in most of the low-lying areas. Evacuations are already over, and what we are given to understand that none of the nuclear reactors have shown damage to raise an alarm. Even the electric plants have definitely have had damage, but they are not in any abnormal stage. There are people who are injured, but as of now, the numbers have not been cleared by the authorities, and we will withhold the numbers that are trickling in because those numbers can go up and down after the authorities confirm how things unfold there.
Right, Rishabh, appreciate joining on the us on the broadcast with all those details there. Also joining me on the broadcast is my colleague Shrinjoy. Shrinjoy, as the numbers trickle in, as the data comes in, we are now starting to understand the extent of the devastation that has rocked Japan. Give us a sense of the latest information that we have and also the extent of this entire tragedy that now has unfolded just on the New Year's Eve.
Well, first of all, 21 earthquakes is a serious number. Secondly, the fact that on the Richter scale it was 7.5 is also a clear sign that there is going to be extensive damage. There is no dispute about that. There has been damage. The question is, because Japan has been so well prepared for such things, one, of course, it has a history of earthquakes, which is why they even build houses in a certain way. They have a system of combating damage or potential damage by earthquakes. Also, the fact that there has been a Fukushima before, so they have known how to deal with earthquakes and tsunamis after that. So there is a hope that perhaps this will be managed to some extent, and the casualties can be reduced to the minimum possible. That is the hope. But we will have to see what the final figures are, what kind of actually happened. The most important thing, of course, is to ensure that there is no damage or serious damage to the atomic power plants. The Japanese are aware of what Fukushima did, and as a result, surely all these years they've taken the right decisions, they've taken the right actions to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Yes, there has been damage to two nuclear power plants, but what kind of damage? How much damage? Also, how much damage will that lead to vis-a-vis radioactivity going into the atmosphere? These are things that have to be looked at. If there is radioactivity in the atmosphere, then that is obviously a huge problem. We know what happened at Chernobyl in 1986, so everyone wants to avoid that. There are really two things. One, if there is extensive damage, fine. Yes, it is bound to happen. But what kind of casualties have the Japanese tried to avert? And hopefully, if they were aware that the earthquake would be followed by a tsunami, and that they certainly did know, then probably certain things would have been done by the authorities to ensure that people were safe. That's, of course, the first thing. The second is the atomic power plants. Now, if they have been not been as badly damaged as, say, Fukushima was, then, of course, that's a huge relief. It's a huge benefit. But we'll have to look at the numbers and, of course, the figures.